The views, information, and opinions expressed during the following program are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the views of Access Communications, its representatives, or its employees.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of Weyburn City Council, held in Council Chambers, 6 p.m. Monday, January 22nd. First off, I want to say that we are glad that everybody survived this massively 40 below weather. Reading one kind of journalism book there that written by different journalists, he said, I agree with what he had said. He said, I am not a socialist, but big Canada is very big and very cold in winter, and we all have to huddle together and work together and have a little bit more socialism than we really have to survive this weather. And I think we did. It was good that we all survived very well, as in other parts of the country that they didn't do quite so well. But we survived it very well. And it's nice to see it's so nice out today. So starting with that nice weather and thinking about all that, and that's a very Canadian thing, talk about the weather, but approval of the minutes from the regular council meeting and strategic planning and priorities meeting held January 8th, 2024. Do I have a motion, please?
Your Worship, I'll make the motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting and the strategic planning and priorities committee meeting held January the 8th, 2024 be accepted as presented.
I'll second that, Your Worship.
And all in favor? Carried unanimously. Tonight we have, it's noted that we are missing our clerk, but we are still maintaining minutes to this meeting, and we have a full council here tonight. Additions to the agenda, Mr. Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. There's no additions tonight, and just so everyone's aware, I am the acting city clerk right now. I was appointed at the last meeting, so anything for a clerk will go through me that way. Thank you.
Council, additions? No additions? Moving forward, public hearings and notices. Notices?
Yes, Your Worship, I have a notice that council waive notice and reconsider the vote to the following motion made at the regular council meeting held on July 17th, 2023, which was moved by Councillor Van Betju, seconded by Councillor Janke, that the offer to purchase Lot 14, Block 3, Plan AZ 357 from Jordan Chuckery in the amount of $15,297 plus applicable GST be accepted with the following conditions. The lot must be parcel tied or consolidated with the purchaser's existing property. All costs associated shall be borne by the purchaser. The land is sold as is, where is, meaning any improvements, upgrades to roads, services, utilities, and other infrastructure is to be at the cost of the purchaser. Number 3, the city's standard sale agreement condition, i.e. deposits, land, closing land registry costs, etc.
Is there any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, we'll have further, we'll talk about this in new business.
You must,
you
must if council is wanting to reconsider a vote, Your Worship, as per your council's procedure bylaw, you must make a motion and then have that vote on by council.
Okay, and so we'll bring this up in new business on.
No, that would have to occur now if you'd like to, and then if you'd like to have to discuss later on.
I'll second the motion.
I'll make a motion that we. Yeah.
You'll make the motion that
yes, I will. Yes.
You'll second the motion. Okay. Discussion again. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Motion has been rescinded.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So then that will be under new business to discuss the request we received about that property.
There's no reports to standing committees. Consent agenda. We have the building report for December, public works report for December, fire report for November, and fire report for December. Do we have a motion to receive?
Your Worship, I'll make the motion to receive the consent agenda items.
Second?
I'll second that, Your Worship.
Discussion? Seeing no discussion, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. There's no motions. And introduction of bylaws. Mr. Warren?
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So a zoning bylaw amendment application and corresponding official community plan amendment application has been submitted by Ryan Bousfield. The amendment is to change the zoning on lots 13 and 14, Block 2, Plan AZ 357, from urban holdings to light industrial, and the change of land use designation from no designation to industrial. The property was previously owned and purchased by Mr. Bousfield. So as per our public notice, Council gave a first reading at our last meeting on January 8th, and notices went out to the public to provide notice. Notices were advertised on January 10th and 17th. Editions of the Weyburn Review, posted to City Hall, the city website, and additionally, neighborhood notices were mailed out to any property holder or owners within 75-meter radius of the property. We did receive 2 responses back with the following concerns. The first one is safety, so industrial property between 2 residential properties, concerned with increased traffic and potential of equipment contacting with the fire hydrant or power pole outside that property. Some environmental concerns, concerns over devaluation of the residential properties in the neighborhood, and then a risk of increased crime in the area. Going through the development proposal, the proposal is for Ryan Bousfield to build a custom workshop on the lots that we discussed previously. The OCP and zoning amendments are required to facilitate development of the subject property. So I do have a map showing where the subject property is located. Mr. Bousfield does own the property right in behind at 426. So under the official community plan of 2020-3411, the property currently does not have a land use designation. The applicant is requesting that the lands be designated industrial on the land use designation map of the OCP. And then through the zoning bylaw 2020-3412, the property is currently zoned urban holdings. The applicant has requested that the land be rezoned to light industrial, which would allow for a custom workshop as a permitted use. So as required, official community plan amendments must be approved by the Ministry of Government Relations after final reading of bylaw 2023-3473 and must be submitted to the province for ministerial approval. And then both bylaws will take effect once there is approval from the ministry. So there is options put in place for council tonight prior to doing a public hearing. So option 1 is council hold a public hearing regarding bylaws 2023-3473 and 2023-3474, and hear any concerns or comments from any interested parties. And then that council gives second and third readings of both bylaws. So the one, bylaw 2023-3473, being bylaw to amend the official community plan, designate the aforementioned lands as industrial on the future land use and land use designation map. And then council gives second and third reading to bylaw 2023-3474, being bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone the aforementioned lands from urban holdings to light industrial zone. Then option 2 is if council chooses to refuse to give second and third readings for both the bylaws, they must provide a reason for that refusal. So as a recommendation, as option 1, that council gives second and third reading to both bylaws 2023-3473 and 2023-3474 to amend the official community plan and zoning bylaws as mentioned above.
So at this point in time, I'd like to open up any public hearings on both bylaws, 2023-3473 and 23-3474. I'm calling once for anyone who wishes to come forward and identify themselves to speak to these bylaws. Calling once. Calling a second time. Calling a third time. No one's coming forward, so I call this public hearing declaring it closed. So at this time, we'll proceed with the second reading of bylaw 2023-3473.
Your worship, I will make a motion that bylaw 2024-3473, being a bylaw to amend the official community plan to designate the above-mentioned lands as industrial on the future land use and land use designation map, be read a second time.
Seconder.
I'll second that, your worship.
Call the question or discussion? Call the question, all or discussion?
Thank you, Your Worship. I know that we did receive a complaint, or a couple complaints, basically from the same property, I guess. And I understand their concerns, but I just want to them to know that I think council is aware of their concerns, but there is industrial property right across the street from them. And I think the city has procedures and policies in place to deal with a lot of the issues that they have brought forward. So, but just to let residents know that the city does consider their concerns, and they are legitimate, but I said I think we have processes in place to alleviate those concerns.
Thanks for saying that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously.
Worship, I'd motion that bylaw 2024-3473, being a bylaw to amend the official community plan to designate the above-mentioned lands as industrial on the future land use and land use designation map, be read a third time and passed.
Your worship, I'll second that motion.
Further discussion? Nothing. Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. That bylaw is passed. Bylaw 2023-3474, second reading, zoning bylaw amendment.
Your worship, I would move that bylaw 2024-3474, being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone the above-mentioned lands from urban holding zone to light industrial zone, be read a second time.
I'll second that, your worship.
Discussion?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I don't want to call you out, Ryan, but I know that you're in the gallery today. And as a good neighbor, I'm sure that you're just going to work with all of the residents surrounding just to make sure that safety and, any of their concerns are taken care of. Okay, thank you.
Further discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Third reading, final reading.
Your worship, I would move that bylaw 2024-3474, being a bylaw to amend the zoning bylaw to rezone the above-mentioned lands from urban holding zone to light industrial zone, be read a third time and passed.
I'll second that, your worship.
Discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now, Mr. Boasfield, it is now that we've done our part, the final stage is up to, as Mr. Warren said, the provincial government has to make their final statement, and then he'll be in touch with you upon receiving word of that. Okay? And so we as a city have done our part. So thank you. Moving forward. There's no unfinished business. New business. Land transfer, 920 First Avenue Northwest. Mr. Warren.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. So as we had earlier on in the meeting tonight when Councillor Van Betchie provided notice of motion, it's in regards to this request that we received. So on December 4th of 2023, Council received a request, and it's attached to this report from Jordan Chuckery to have a Lot 14, Block 3, Plan AZ357 provided at no cost. At the July 17, 2023 council meeting, the following motion was passed, moved by Councillor Van Betchie and seconded by Councillor Janke, that they offer a purchase for Lot 14, Block 3, Plan AZ357 for Jordan Chuckery in the amount of $15,297 plus applicable GST be accepted with the following conditions: that the lot must be parcel tied or consolidated with the purchaser's existing property. All costs associated be borne by the purchaser. The land be sold as is, whereas any improvements, upgrades to the roads, service, utilities, and other infrastructure is to be at the cost of the purchaser, and the city's standard sales agreement conditions be followed. So we do have a picture of the subject property. Administration has conducted a review of the approved building permit from July 21st, 1964, submitted by the property's previous owner, which is Roy Chuckery, for the construction of a garage on the property. The diagram included in the permit shows the location of the garage. Upon further review on the elevation certificate, which is right below, provided on June 28, 2023, it shows that the garage was built on lot 14, owned by the city of Weyburn. The certificate also shows that a portion of the neighboring property is located on a lot 11, which is owned by Mr. Chuckery. So here's a picture of the lots. Here's a picture of the garage that was approved back in 1964 to be constructed, which is on lot 14. As per the certificate that we have in front of us, is showing that there's some alterations of where the property lines are, and there may have been some things that maybe weren't fully looked at back in 1964 when looking at these properties. You also have an adjacent property, lot 11, that's also located on Mr. Chuckery's lot. So this is why the request came back to council. So as our review through administration is recommending that lot 14 be transferred to Jordan Chuckery. The transfer of lot 14 from the city of Weyburn to Jordan Chuckery will be contingent upon the following conditions. That lot 14 must be parcel tied or consolidated with Mr. Chuckery's existing properties. All costs associated shall be borne by Mr. Chuckery. That Jordan Chuckery provide the city of Weyburn the executed copy of the land transfer of lot 11 to the lot owner of lot 10. And then any improvements, upgrades to roads, service, utilities, and other infrastructure is to be at the cost of Jordan Chuckery. So we do have council options in place for you tonight. Option 1 is approve the transfer of lot 14, block 3, plan AZ 357 to Jordan Chuckery with the conditions listed above. Then option 2 is to deny the transfer of the lot, and then council would have to provide a reason for the denial. So recommendation from council is for council to approve the transfer of lot 14, block 3, plan AZ 357 as indicated in option 1, and be subject to the conditions listed above.
Your Worship, I'd like to make a motion that lot 14, block 3, plan AZ 357 be transferred from City of Weyburn to Jordan Chuckery with the following conditions. That lot 14 must be parcel tied or consolidated with Mr. Chuckery's existing property. All costs associated shall be borne by Mr. Chuckery. That Mr. Chuckery provide the City of Weyburn with an executed copy of the transfer of lot 11 to the owner of lot 10, and any improvements, upgrades to roads, service, utilities, and other infrastructures is to be at the cost of Mr. Chuckery.
Your Worship, I would second that motion.
Discussion? Go ahead.
Thanks, Your Worship. First, before questions, just a note of gratitude to City Hall. This was a complex thing, without a doubt. So good work, Manager Warren, to you and your team. I think this is absolutely the right thing to do. This makes this whole thing right again. But I guess I have, just for clarity, condition number 2, that Mr. Chuckery provide the city with an executed copy of the transfer of lot 11 to the owner of lot 10. That is, a sale is not eligible. This has to be a transfer.
That's correct, Councillor Richards. It can't be a sale. It has to be a mutually agreed upon transfer of the lot, because there is the same thing that we're doing as a city. Same way we'll transfer that lot. We're asking for the same. If that's not occurred, this will not be executed.
And then is there, if I may, one more question. Is there a timeline attached to this? Does this have to be executed by a certain date?
No, the city has not set up a time frame. We know that Mr. Chuckery wants to move forward with some work on his current property. And I would guess, based on that and the work that he wants to do on that property, that this will be a pretty quick turnaround moving forward.
Thank you.
As quick as land titles turns around.
Yeah, for sure.
We're limited on that. Mr. Van Betcher.
Yes, thanks for that clarification, Councillor Richards. And I just want to make it clear that Mr. Chuckery had 2 lots prior to this. And when he leaves tonight, if approved, he'll still have 2 lots.
3.
I'll make a correction on that.
Sorry.
Councilman Betchu, he had 3 and he'll have 3.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
no worries.
there's nothing that, he's not getting anything for free. He's leaving the room with the same amount of land. It's just a correction in the,
And to make it more clarified on what you're talking about, Mr. Membetchu, is that this all stemmed from what, 1910? Somewhere it got skewed back there in 1910. The
Well,
original house built kind of got moved over.
Yeah, well, the biggest one is when the garage was built in 1964. So when we look at the building permit for 1964, that's where it is. I can't speak to anything well back to 1910, but we can talk about something that we can find that's a little more recent for me to find, which would be
I think it was, but somebody had mentioned that it even skewed way back there. Everything, there's lots were skewed all the way through. So we're making correction. It's not like we're, again, giving for nothing. It's just that it was rectifying and getting things set right for the record. Call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. So that will, Mr. Chucker, you guys will have to start moving forward with that and get it done as quick as you possibly can. Other than that, there are inquiries and announcements. Anything?
Thank you, Worship. Just wanted to say a huge thank you to the public for their patience regarding the Leisure Center, and a huge thank you to our staff for responding so quickly. And I was wondering if City Manager Matthew, can you give an update on the Leisure Center?
Yeah, so we had a water main break outside of the building. We had a clay pipe go on us outside of that property. And so we made sure that we did proper replacement and cleanup of that. We also had some main issues in that area as well. So we have done a full review. We've had cleanup of our property, and we're moving forward with opening up tomorrow morning of Tuesday the 23rd.
Anything more?
Your Worship, apologies in advance, but we cannot adjourn this meeting without extending our congratulations to you and your new wife for this weekend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll pass that on to her too. Your congratulations. Also, James Weir, that is still open, is it, Laura?
Your Worship, yeah, the James Weir, you can go down and start voting. You can vote until March the 15th, and then the reception will be held on March the 22nd.
March 22nd. At what time?
That's a good question. Check the city website, and the Weyburn Arts Council will have it for you.
Right. And then the oil show, for those that are interested, that was just, we'll pump that up probably every meeting, but that will be the 5th and 6th of June. And again, the oil show board is working with council, city manager in the city on different aspects of that, but that is the 5th and 6th of June is where we'll be the opening of the oil show again. And we'll be moving forward with that. Anything else that is on there? Everyone, keep warm. It's nice to see that the weather has changed around and that we only had one really major break there on the water main break. We were so very fortunate considering so many other cities didn't fare so well. So, no notice of motions, and with that, I call this meeting adjourned. Thank you.
If you'd like to share your feedback on the program you just watched, contact us today